Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri is the new film from writer-director Martin McDonough. It tells the story of a woman whose daughter was raped and murdered. After months with no developments in the case, she rents three billboards outside of town to accuse the local police of neglect. David Edelstein calls the film instantly gripping, a finely calibrated mixture of foggy melancholy and quirk. Having said that, here is the trailer.
You ain't trying to make me believe in reincarnation, are you? 'Cause you're pretty, but you ain't her. She got killed. Still no arrests. How come, I wonder? 'Cause there ain't no God and the whole world's empty and it doesn't matter what we do to each other? I hope not. I don't know what the police are doing. I hadn't heard a word from them in 7 goddamn months. I'll tell you this, I've heard an awful lot from them since I put them billboards up. The more you keep a case in the public eye, the better your chances are getting it solved. You take me down and arrest me.
They got nothing to arrest you for.
Not yet, you ain't. If I had some food, I'd give it to you. All I got is some Doritos. They might kill you. They're kind of pointy. Then where would we be?
This is so good. Joining me now is the film's writer and director, Martin McDonough, and two of its stars, Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell. I am pleased to have all of them here at this table. Welcome. Great to see you. This was a script that had been around.
Well, I wrote it 8 years ago,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like I was trying to flog it around or anything like that. I kind of wrote it and didn't...
Let it rest and marinate?
Yeah, just kind of, it was pretty much identical to the one we started from, you know, a year and a half ago. But I was doing a different project with Sam, actually, Seven Psychopaths, and this one could have happened first, but because we'd set the ball rolling with that one, and that was 5 years ago, this was always going to be the next one. And then after we finished that, I'm kind of lazy, so I just kind of traveled around and did nothing for a few years.
Mildred looks like, just in that trailer, a fascinating woman.
I think she is a fascinating woman.
Tell me more.
Well, you know, you put Martin's writing in a cocktail shaker, and you put me in that cocktail shaker, and a bunch of other good folk from the theater world, and you mix it up, and you're just happy. You're happy. Also,
so you saw it in the script.
Oh, yeah. Well, Martin actually wrote it for me. And he's seen not only my film work, but a lot of my theater work. So he knew what he was dealing with. And I'm 60, Charlie. Come on, you know, I got a breadth of work.
There, I know what
and
that's
I got some stuff on my face to work with.
Yeah, but you got some talent, too.
Yeah, you know, I've worked hard. I was told in drama school I was not naturally talented, and so I went at it.
You did?
Systematically. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, okay. So
I'm
you
going
went
to
out to
change
prove
their
them wrong.
mind.
You went out to multiply that talent.
I didn't know how to do anything else. I'm a pretty good housewife, but besides that, I hadn't really any other...
Nothing. That was it.
I wanted to do it.
If it wasn't acting, you don't know what you would have done.
Housewife.
Housewife,
yeah.
I think that's the same with all of us. I don't know what I'd have done.
I don't have any plan B either.
Yeah, no plan B.
I would have been pumping gas,
It's really good to not have a plan B sometimes.
Yeah. I just looked into what I do. So why did you think her? I mean, what was it about her, having written this, having defined the character with her in mind?
Integrity. I mean, great actress, but integrity...
Well, some talent.
Yeah. But integrity on and off screen, too.
Something that projects integrity.
Yes. But just reading about her and just... we bumped into each other a few times and seeing her theater work. But just the knowledge that, like, off camera, off screen, she doesn't take any crap, you know. That was a part of what Mildred was too. So I knew if we could harness that as well as the brilliant actress that she is. That we
So
were
who is
on a
Mildred?
win.
I'll ask you.
She's a mother. She's someone who's lost her daughter to a horrible murder 7 months before the story started, and that she's gotten through, I think, the grief and the sadness and depression, and she's come out. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but she's come out at the end of that with pure rage almost. At the beginning of the film, she's raging that the police haven't really done enough to solve the crime. And it's certainly a character I'd never written before, a woman who is that strong and outrageous almost, but you know had a heart but didn't have to wear that on her sleeve.
Yeah, what I would add to it is I think that I don't think the grief will ever be over. I think that that's part of Mildred's tragedy and any parent that loses a child, because it's a biological imperative that you keep them alive. But I think that what happens is that after that 7 months, she takes action, radical action, and that breaks the paralysis of the grief. And knowing full well there'll be collateral damage. Robbie, her son, people in town.
Yeah. But he said an interesting thing. He said, correct me if I'm wrong, he created the character. But you have also...
Yeah, well, it became a collaboration.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, we had one major debate after I read the script, at knowing, being so honored and so excited. You do not get a gift like this. Even from your family members. I'm waiting for my family members to give me another gift like this. But especially, well, you gave it to me like 3 years ago, so, when I was, do the math, 57. And, but I was concerned about the character's age, because I'm from a working class background, and I feel like a lot of women from that socioeconomic world, as Mildred's, wouldn't wait till they were 38 to have children. So I was concerned about playing the mother of younger children, 16 and 18. And so I asked Martin to make Mildred their grandmother, knowing that a lot of grandmothers do raise their grandchildren. Sure. But he was really, and I think rightfully so, was really connected to the idea of her being a mother in kind of the Greek tradition of how mothers fight for their...
Revenge.
Yeah, well, yes, revenge? Justice. It's justice.
It's not revenge.
We never talked about revenge because it almost makes it too... Justice is larger. Justice is a larger goal.
It's larger. Yeah. And who is Dixon?
Dixon is a complicated guy. He's he's a lot of things. He's a racist cop. He's a mama's boy. He's a lot of stuff. Yeah. But he takes a journey and he transforms into something different. Yeah.
You prepare hard, don't you?
I try, it comes out of, fear of sucking, I guess, But, I mean, I had the luxury, I had time for this one, so I was able to do a couple things I normally wouldn't do.
You mean hang out?
Yeah, hung out with some cops and stuff like that. But it's just really, I mean, Martin writes this great script, and it's a roadmap of what to do,
That's where you start.
That's where you start, yeah.
What do you want your actors to do?
Bring the truth, I guess. Just bring the truth to the characters as they see it, or as we see it between us, I think. Yeah. We, in all of the stuff, but in this particularly, we talked it out. I wouldn't call it rehearsal, really, so much as just talking it through beforehand, trying to get on the same page with each other about who we think these characters are. And going forward together, me trying to get out of the way as much as possible.
Get out of the way?
Yeah. Get out of the way of their choices and their performances.
So what? Stimulate, then get out of the way. So what? Stimulate and give them a text. Stimulate the sense of what this adventure is about, and then get out of the way. Let them find it.
Pretty much.
There's kind of a point in a good collaboration where we become the experts because we're living the interior lives of the characters as well as the, honoring the words on the page. That's not always the case. I would say that we're presented 3/4 of the time with blueprints. There's huge holes in the story, plot lines, character development, and we have to fill a lot more of that in. But with Martin's work, it's like a play. You start inhabiting it from the minute you decide to do it, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you can inform, then you go into meetings with costume designers and hair and makeup, and we can actually help Martin because we start living the interior life.
How long did it take you to decide to do this?
I immediately wanted to do it, but so the minute, I would say, it took me about 1.5 years to really come
because of time factors, or you just wanted to be what?
No, it took about 1.5 years just for us to actually be able to produce it. Just that's the timeline.
Some scheduling stuff with plays too, right? We had you had a play, I had a play, and then the money fell through and they came back and stuff like that, right?
But in terms of the age question, my husband said, "Just shut up and do it." He's right. And I don't always listen to him when he says "shut up," but in this case, I did.
Roll tape. Here's a clip in which the two of them are together at the police station. Here it is. I want Mildred on my side.
Me too.
Both of them, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want either of them on the other side.
Now, do we see redemption for Dixon in this?
Absolutely, I think so. Yeah, I think there's definitely some redemption for yeah. He really takes quite a journey. Yeah, yeah. In that scene, he's got an Achilles heel, which is his mother. So anytime that I try to stand up to Mildred, that's his kryptonite. You know, she uses that, and then he's maybe he could alpha, but then he can't. When she brings up Mama, it's over. You know,
and she knows it.
And she knows it. Oh yeah, right. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's a small town, and I think that and Mama Dixon is played by an extraordinary actress, Sandy Martin.
Yeah.
And what's wonderful about the way that the chemistry between Sam and Sandy in the film is like they really are like spores from the same tunnel, right? And
spores from the same tunnel.
But Mildred and Mama Dixon are cut from the same cloth. They're women.
Yeah.
Missouri women that are cut from the same cloth. So there's not.
What's that cloth?
Oh, bark cloth. I'd say a nice bark cloth. Well, yeah. Floral pattern, perhaps. But, right? So I think there's some, there's kind of a, it's a working class. We got it. But I think also that there's something about Mildred is allowing her machismo to come forward, and that kind of...
It's a nice way to say it. She's allowing her machismo to come forward. I mean, it is rushing out of her. Yes?
I think that's part of the radical action she takes.
You thought of John Wayne as a kind of model here?
I did. You know, I have to say in retrospect, I worked really hard for just such an occasion to come up with a female iconic cinematic character that I could, and the only one I could, who would you think of?
Barbara Stanwyck.
I should have talked to you. Well, yes, sure. Though, you know, it's interesting because I couldn't, I didn't cast that far back.
That would be.
Yeah, would have the same balls, shall we say. Yeah. Though it really felt like a cowboy to me. And I've always wanted to play a cowboy. So and it's interesting. I had just read a biography about John Wayne, cover to cover, and I usually don't read biographies cover to cover, but it was a really well-written one. Cannot remember the author's name.
What do you do, stop halfway, or...?
I'm not that interested in actors' lives after a certain point, but there was something about the breadth of his life that was really fascinating.
Stuntman, right?
Yeah, came out and had to work in B movies for so long before he got, that he did Stagecoach. So it was fascinating.
You had a casting home run, didn't you?
Yep. Dreamland.
I'd say not one person said no.
Is that right?
No, exactly.
No.
So, and you had, how many people did you have in mind for when you wrote the piece?
These two and Woody, yeah.
You had three of them?
Yeah.
In mind?
Yeah. Well, Woody and I go back, because Woody's a theatre guy too. And Woody and me met over my plays. He'd read all my stuff, and we met in Dublin in a bar and chatted for a few days. But we'd always wanted to work together for ages, first on a play, and it didn't quite work out. But then, so I got to work on Seven Psychos with him, and now this. And he's almost the moral center, to a degree, of the whole film. And Woody is that in life, There's something so lovable and decent about Woody as a man that, as soon as he's on screen or on set, you just
feel relaxed around him,
You feel what? Say?
You feel relaxed around him. He just has a relaxation about him that makes you feel...
Is it feeling comfortable because he like Francis, he knows what he's doing?
Yeah, but he's also, I feel like I'm related to Woody, and there's something about him. I don't know. Yeah.
Trustworthy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you're going to be in a situation where you're really laying it bare, he'll take care of it, right? And I think that's also comes from, the top. Same with Martin. We were all going out on various limbs and dangling over the edge, and we all felt like we were, not safe, because that's never fun to be safe. But we had good harness.
Yeah.
Mildred's relationship with her son changed after the death.
Yeah, I think the months of paralysis. I mean, I'm not one big one for backstory, but Lucas and I talked a bit about it. We had a lot of time in that car where we shot our scenes, so we talked a lot about acting because he's a young actor, I'm an older one, so we had fun with that. But I think what I offered him was the idea that for 7 months she was probably laying around on the couch, comatose and not really eating or drinking or speaking. And so though her actions are not great for him or his life and not completely understandable, at least she's seems like herself again.
You prefer actors who've had some experience on the stage in theater?
I wouldn't say I go out and seek it, but I think it just naturally happens.
What is that then, though?
I guess it's a lack of love of movie stardom and a love of acting. These are all actors. There's probably more mean-spirited ways of saying it, but they're all proper actors, and I think proper actors know that they'll have to do theatre for good parts as well as movies.
Did you guys go ahead?
I think you've always said that if you want the good parts, you have to go back and forth between.
It's like going back to the training ground. But I also think none of us yet, and if I catch you doing it, we don't sell perfume or watches or cars. You don't have our faces aren't.
Has Lucas done that yet?
We'll have to ask him.
I've spoken to him about it.
Okay, good.
He's very good.
Don't you be selling it?
Christopher Walken. Has he done it?
It's kind of hard for an audience.
Sold stuff in Japan.
Yeah, see, it started it in Japan. The ad thing started, and I think people thought when we weren't so global that was there and it wasn't. But it's really difficult, I think. So, if we wanted to play a heroin addict living on the street, it would be really hard if somebody had just seen us in a magazine, with diamonds dripping off our ears. It's really hard to go past, for me, even people who whiten their teeth too much. And you go, well, I don't know. I don't really try. So I think it really it behooves an actor who wants to play a wide variety of characters.
Stay real.
Get closer. Yeah. It's still a movie, after all. We got people fixing our hair all day, so it's not like we're really living it. It's not a documentary, right? But on the other hand, I think it's for the storytelling. It's just so much easier.
Yeah, completely. Like for Mildred, and especially when it's a working class character, it's very hard to find the actors who can play that convincingly without sentimentalizing it or patronizing that aspect of it.
Did you guys practice this dynamic that we just saw in that scene? We'll see another scene in a moment.
What about it?
Did you rehearse that a lot?
No.
I mean, were you off on the side and saying, let's just get this dynamic of these two characters?
We knew what we had to do. I think we came in knowing what we had to do, loaded for bear. I think we...
You're shaking your head with such affirmation. Yeah. In other words, that's what a real actor does. It comes ready.
I wouldn't say, I think there's a lot of real actors that love rehearsal, but in this case, we were just cast properly, and so you put those dynamics in the same space. We knew who we were playing.
Yeah, and I think it's also, we are theater actors, but it's also, there's a consistency to being a theater actor, but it's also now, we don't have the time, the luxury to do a million takes, and we got to come in ready to go, right? Yeah. I mean, you got to know your stuff, I think,
You're a man from London, an Irishman, Ebbing, Missouri.
Make-y-uppy name.
Make-y-uppy name?
Yeah. Ebbing isn't real, but
you do have in mind, you had a sense of the town.
I had, it's probably from almost as much from movies as from traveling. I do like traveling around small town America quite a lot. Yeah.
You do that?
Yeah, like ever since The Beauty Queen was on, I kind of fortunately had money enough to get a train or to get a bus and just have time to explore America.
And do you write while you're doing that?
This was written mostly on trains and in little towns across the country.
You just check into a hotel, a little small town motel, a hotel, and
and in the daytime go to a field, go to a riverbank, and I think I was up a mountain and a deer came along, and that just made it into the scene.
Yeah, everything is fodder.
Yeah, and it's funny when you do that, everything becomes part of the script that you know, if you're walking down a street, you wouldn't notice it, but everything, even a song, becomes, you know, integral.
What was it that caused you to write this film?
I saw something similar to what we see on the billboards at the start of the movie on a bus trip across the States about 17 years ago, and it was something.
You made a note.
It was like just a mental note. It stayed, just the rage of it and the pain that was obviously behind it, and the bravery, I realized, because it was calling the cops out for inactivity, even in that signage, stayed with me and kind of bugged me for 10 years. And it felt almost too dark to tell a story about. But then when I imagined that person, the person who put that signage up there to be a mother and a strong woman, everything just kind of fell into place. And I didn't even have to plot the film after that. It just, Mildred popped up, and it was just about following her through her adventures almost.
Some people see parallels with Flannery.
I love Flannery O'Connor, and we kind of have a little nod of the head to one of her books in the film. Yeah, I mean, she's, you know, we've got Catholic backgrounds. We're like to explore the darker side of life.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
This
Jim.
is a fantastic film.
Thanks very much.
And the performances are, well, you know.
Thanks.
Thanks, Charlie.
Above and beyond. Thank you.
We believe it.
It opens in a limited release, I think, November 10th, select cities. The movie, once more, 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. Back in a moment. Stay with us.